Anyway, let's get to the top 50. Starting at 50, going to 41. Darius Leonard, Amari Cooper, Za'Darius Smith, Tre'Davious Smith, Dak Prescott, J.J. Watt, Mark Ingram, Jimmy Garoppolo, Alvin Kamara, and Jadeveon Clowney. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts on these 10?
Yeah, well, I think Tre'Davious White, to me, I think we'll start with the one who belongs higher. I think he's arguably the second best corner in the league, aside from Stephon Gilmore. So I'd classify him as more of a top 25 player. I don't remember where Gilmore comes in on this, but I think it's pretty high. So I don't think he should be that far removed from Gilmore. The rest of this list, let's just focus on the quarterbacks here. Like, God, what are we doing? Dak Prescott in the top 50. Like, come on. He's in the same Kirk Cousins camp where, he can win games on a good team, but he's not the driving force behind the Cowboys. Everyone likes to pretend Dak Prescott's that guy, but he really isn't. Like, if you take away Tyrann Smith, he's going to get sacked 6 times by Adrian Claiborne. If you take away Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys are less likely to win. I don't think Dak Prescott is that good. I don't think he's bad. I think I had him 15th amongst NFL quarterbacks, but he's not a top 50 player. And look, I love Jimmy Garoppolo as much as the next guy, and I think he's going to improve at some point. But come on, he's not the 43rd best player in the league. Like, he made it to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. He's not the reason the 49ers made it there. It's their defensive line, their offense, and their running game. People need to go back and watch and say, hey, this is why the 49ers made it. And it's not Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not his doing. And I know he only has like a couple seasons worth of starts under his belt. So I do think he's going to get better, but he's not a top 50 player right now. He really needs to develop more before I can even consider putting him close to the top 100. He's probably around the 150 mark at best in my book. And that's coming from a guy who really likes Jimmy G.
I agree with everything you just said. Of these 10 guys, maybe there's one exception. I would basically say all of the defensive players that are listed here should be higher than they are, and all of the offensive players that are listed here should be listed lower. Like, that's kind of my observation from this. So, like, Darius Leonard, Za'Darius Smith, Tre'Davious White, like, all those guys should be J.J. Watt, maybe J.J., maybe not much higher, but like all these guys should be 10 to 15 spots higher on this list, in my opinion, it feels like. And all of these offensive guys should be 10 to 20 spots off lower, except the quarterbacks that don't belong in the top 100 at all. Like Jimmy G and Dak, neither one of those guys belong in the top 100. It's absurd. The one exception that stands out is Jadeveon Clowney, kind of what you said earlier, Walt. Like, he's not on a team, so how do you officially rank him? If he were on a team, though, he would easily be in my top 40 or higher. So if you're using your rule, he shouldn't be on the list, but I understand why he's at 41.
Well, the one defensive player who doesn't belong is Tre'Davious Smith. I don't know who that is. Tre'Davious White, obviously. So I guess I can't read my own writing. Dak Prescott, Jimmy Garoppolo don't belong, especially Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he holds on to the ball way too long. I think with the different coaching staff, if he had I like Kyle Shanahan a lot, like as a quarterbacks coach and offensive guy. If he had a mediocre head coach, I don't think he'd be that good right now. Like, he's had Kyle Shanahan and Bill Belichick. Like, it doesn't, that's pretty good. Kenny, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Mark Ingram, because you've been drafting J.K. Dobbins in our fantasy drafts. Like, Mark Ingram used to be a pretty good running back, but I don't think he was ever the 44th best player in the NFL. And it's kind of surprising to see him here. Like, I know his stats are good with the Ravens. The Ravens had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL last year. I think that was like the reason why he was so successful. Kenny, real fast, what do you think about Ingram?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he, in my mind, I would put him lower. I really like Ingram. I tend to be, I think I'm an Ingram truther. But I'm more of a J.K. Dobbins truther than I am an Ingram truther. So maybe that's what's going on. I think I've always liked Ingram more than most people, but 44 is definitely too high.
Yeah, it's weird to see him and Alvin Kamara separated by 2, and where it's like Kamara is obviously the better player. All right, let's get to 40 through 31. Starting at 40, Danielle Hunter, Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Godwin, Jalen Ramsey, Nick Chubb, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Bosa, Aaron Jones, Shaq Barrett, and then Saquon Barkley, apparently Saquon Barkley is only 2 spots better than Aaron Jones. I don't understand that logic. Jacob, what do you think about that and everything else?
I don't dislike this group of 10. Like, this might be my favorite group of 10 so far in terms of value. I do think Saquon Barkley belongs higher. I think he's a top 20 player. He's arguably the best running back in the league. He just had some trouble last year recovering from an injury. So I think he should be higher. I think Aaron Jones should be a little bit lower. But generally, everyone else in this tier, I'm pretty comfortable with. Like, my ordering might be different. Like, I might have Joey Bosa and Minkah Fitzpatrick ahead of Shaq Barrett just because, they've had a couple more consistent seasons than Barrett. But, all these guys I think belong here. You could make the case that Chris Godwin could be a little bit lower. I think he's probably on the fringe of my top 50, but I don't hate this segment other than Saquon being a little bit too high, or too low rather. Well done at somehow getting this portion of it mostly right, NFL players.
Okay, this might be my least favorite of the bunch. I don't know. Or maybe I'm very frustrated with some of these guys. Okay, number one, Saquon Barkley is a top 10 player in the NFL, in my opinion. You said he's arguably the best running back. In my opinion, he's the best running back. He's number one on my fantasy boards across the board. Saquon Barkley is a phenomenal talent like we haven't seen at running back. Only a handful of guys since I've been alive. So the fact that he's at 31, I'm disgusted by that. Aaron Jones to me is talent-wise, he's slightly better than Chris Carson. He's in my mind, he's not near. There are several guys, but Alvin Kamara is behind him. You're going to tell me even Ingram, even Todd Gurley, even with injuries, I'm still taking Todd Gurley over Aaron Jones at this point. I'm not convinced. Minkah Fitzpatrick, in my opinion, deserves to be much higher in this list. He's one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. I've been trying to think. Nick Chubb also.
I think we lost Kenny there for a second. Oh, there
Am I frozen? You guys lose me there? Sorry.
There we go.
You're back. Sorry.
I guess I didn't pay my cable bill. I don't know what happened. Anyway, Aaron Jones to me is not nearly as good as some of these other running backs. Minkah Fitzpatrick, in my mind, deserves to be way higher. Nick Chubb should be higher in my mind. I love Nick Chubb. Chris Godwin, I would lower. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, we love him. He's not the player he was 2-3 years ago. I would lower him significantly. So I'm quite frustrated with where some of these players are.
I like Aaron Jones just fine. I don't think he belongs near Saquon Barkley. I would put Aaron Jones in the top 100 for sure, but not. Yeah, I don't think I'd put him in the top 50 though. I agree. Fitzpatrick just changed the Steelers. That they almost made the playoffs last year, despite starting Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph for 14 games. So that was just phenomenal. Jalen Ramsey, one of the best corners in the NFL. He should probably be higher. Tyrann Mathieu maybe should be a little bit lower. I thought he played very well last year. Like kind of close to where he once was. He's not the same player he once was for sure. So I don't I guess I'm in the middle between you guys. I think this group of 10 is not great, but I think it is not horrible either. So let's